The key to never running out of power again. The biggest problem with renewable energy is that when the sunlight or the wind goes away, so does the power. You need batteries to store excess power for those times. But here's the neat thing, not all batteries have to be chemical. Just use gravity. Suppose you need to catch up with the advancement of renewable energy solutions such as solar power. In that case, you may think that the main challenge is getting enough power out of solar and wind, but it's often the opposite. When your renewable energy source generates more power than you need, you either have to use it or you lose it. This is why grid-tied solar home installations can feed power back into the grid, and you can even get paid for it. Battery arrays are used in off-grid solar house setups to store extra energy so it may be used at night or on overcast days. Although specialized deep-cycle lead-acid batteries have been widely used for this purpose, lithium-based alternatives like the Tesla Powerwall are starting to outperform them. Whether lead-acid or lithium, these batteries can store energy using an electrochemical process. But what if you could store and release power without needing an electrolyte? This is where the idea of a gravity battery comes in. The concept is straightforward. When there is an abundance of renewable energy, the batteries use the energy to hoist a heavy object either very high in the air or to the top of a deep shaft. When electricity is required, winches progressively reduce the weight and generate it by moving the cables. This would imply that power generated by a solar farm during the daytime when the sun is shining may be stored and then released to the grid at night when demand increases as more people use electricity at home to watch TV, cook, and heat their houses. There are two issues with providing renewable energy to the entire world. Making renewable energy sources like wind and solar as reliable and economical as coal and natural gas is the first step. That first issue is currently being resolved swiftly. According to recent projections, solar energy will surpass coal in 2025. Finding a way to store that energy is the more difficult of the two. Solar, as well as wind power, are intermittent sources of energy, unlike fossil fuels. Even when the sun sets and the wind dies, engineers and scientists have come up with a variety of techniques to store renewable energy for when the grid requires it. One idea is to supplement lithium-ion batteries with iron-air batteries that could charge our homes through rust. Yeah, rust. Or transform existing coal-fired power plants into nuclear ones. Gravity batteries versus lithium-ion. Jill McPherson, senior test and simulation engineer at Gravitricity, told Raconteur that the test was successful. The demonstrator was rated at 250 kilowatts, which is enough to power around 750 households for a very brief period of time. The fact that we can give full power in less than a second was confirmed, and that is useful for operators who must balance the grid second by second. It's very adaptable because it can also give big amounts more gradually. Renewable energy can also be stored using lithium-ion batteries, which now account for the majority of the market, and green hydrogen, which some experts prefer. But unlike the difficulties of creating hydrogen or the issues with the environment and human rights associated with some lithium mining, gravity is free, clean, and easily accessible. Although it will still be a few years before gravity batteries can provide entire power systems, but the technology is developing swiftly. Other gravity-based storage companies have their own twists on the technology. The idea behind California-based Gravity Power is just a small step away from pumped hydro. It uses renewable energy to pump water under a heavy piston and lift it. The piston weight is released when power is needed, forcing the water through a hydroelectric generator. Gravitricity keeps it simple, with its cluster of elevator-like shafts. It plans to scale up to 500-ton weights, which would require mammoth foundations for a tower. So, the best place to put a full-scale system is underground, says Business Development Manager Ruth Apps. The company is scoping out disused mines in the Czech Republic, Poland, and South Africa for its first commercial projects. With a small staff of 14 and just £3 million in investment, Gravitricity has no illusions about the hurdles ahead. As they put the demonstrator through its paces, they have already encountered unexpected difficulties, like the torque exerted by the steel cables, which, like any rope, want to untwist as they lift the weight. After working through these teething issues, the company plans to build a full-scale plant with heavier weights and a shaft nearly 1 kilometer deep that could produce up to 4 megawatts of peak power. Ghosts of an ailing industry surround Gravitricity's test site. A supply vessel serving North Sea oil rigs slumbers nearby, but on a clear day, one can make out Scotland's energy future, the wind turbines that dot the horizon less than 20 kilometers from here. 2 of Gravitricity's recent hires come from oil and gas sectors, and mining communities are thrilled about the prospect of turning their heritage into something new. They see the idea of having a second life. Different types of gravity batteries. The most typical gravity battery used today is also one that is in extensive use. Water is pumped into elevated reservoirs by power firms to store energy. The water is released and flows into another reservoir when they're ready to use that energy, passing through a hydroelectric turbine en route. These water pump turbine systems are efficient, but there are only a limited number of locations where you can install them. In addition, they don't scale down effectively. Companies such as Gravitricity are building large gravity batteries that can be set up anywhere, unlike water reservoir solutions. Their demonstration rig uses 2 25-ton weights in a 15-meter rig to supply 250 kilowatts of power. The company claims its technology can scale up to 20 megawatts and that its systems have a 50-year design life. The main advantage of these systems is that you can produce lots of power quickly or in small amounts over long periods. It's also great to ensure power if your renewables have a transient dip, since it takes less than 1 second to reach full power output. Most importantly, it works out cheaper in the long run than lithium battery installations providing similar performance, so it's caught the attention of renewable energy producers. On a smaller scale, there are items like the Gravity Light, which eliminates the need for hazardous kerosene lighting by providing 20 minutes of light in exchange for lifting a weight. Gravity batteries are probably a crucial part of a realistic and sustainable renewable energy infrastructure because of their simplicity and possible lifetime. Energy storage will consist of an eclectic mix of chemical and gravity batteries, both above and below ground, just as humanity's green energy future is expected to be a combination of solar, wind, and next-generation nuclear power plants. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed today's video and found it interesting, then make sure to leave us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to always be updated with the most exciting content as soon as it's uploaded. Thanks for watching. See you again in another video.